So we will finally talk about the football that is going on this weekend with game number one being Purdue at Michigan on FanDuel. This game has Michigan favored by 20 and a half. We have a few different 20 spreads in this one. So, interesting weekend for a lot of big spreads in the Big Ten. But Michigan at home favored by 20 and a half. The over under set at 49 and a half. Zach, Michigan coming off a win against Michigan State. Bryce Underwood has been much better at home than he has been on the road. Purdue, heartbreaker that they lost to Rutgers. That was probably their best opportunity to get a Big Ten win this year, but going up against Michigan, maybe Michigan gets a little sleepy in this situation. We'll see. I'm not going to predict it. If I'm giving away spoilers here, I'm going to predict Michigan to win. But, Zach, what are your thoughts on this game, and what position battle are you paying attention to?
Well, before I go into position battle, there is smoke that Justice Haynes was walking around with a boot and possibly has a broken foot.
Mm.
So I think
That would be big news, but Jordan Marshall's also looked really good.
yes, but
He's been
Haynes
breaking off
and
big time runs too. So
yeah, Haynes has been the better back. He's been the more consistent back. But Marshall, like we're high, we've been high on Marshall. Marshall's very good. But that is just something to keep an eye on. For me, the position battle is Ryan Brown versus Wink Martindale, which I know it's not full position, but I think for Purdue to have a chance in this game, Ryan Brown has to play turnover free, which has been about like it's been his Achilles heel. I mean, just has thrown a ton of picks, has fumbled the ball. I mean, fumbled away the game literally against Rutgers as he threw a pass to himself. So honestly, Purdue probably should have beat Rutgers if not for the turnovers. And I think for Purdue to have any shot against Michigan, which I don't think they have much of one, he's got to play turnover free. Enter Wink Martindale being blitz happy, right? Does he use those blitzes well to exploit Ryan Brown, or does Ryan Brown take advantage of some of the aggressiveness and hit some big plays? I think that's, to me, the matchup of the game.
yeah, this is going to be an interesting one with Brian Brown and his mobility and how the Michigan defense reacts to it. I have full confidence in the Michigan defense, but for them to go up against a more of a playmaker quarterback like this, and even if it isn't Ryan Brown, say something happens with an injury that he doesn't play in this one, you still get Malachi Singleton, who is a dynamic quarterback as well. I don't think there's been much of a drop off when Ryan Brown has been out and Malachi Singleton has played. So either way, I think it's going to be an interesting matchup there. The matchup I'm looking for in this one is going to be the Purdue run defense versus this Michigan running game. As you noted, Justice Haynes could possibly be out. Sharon Moore did say that we'll see what happens for the game coming up. So he did not deny that Justice Haynes was injured, but he did seem to give some credence to that. So we'll see what happens. I do have confidence in Jordan Marshall, though. He's been good this season. But a safety on this Purdue team that's been a little unsung, Zach. And you tell me, we talked about him in the preseason. You tell me if you remember why we talked about him or not, because I did not until I searched his name and I was like, holy cow, we did talk about him. Tahj Ra-El. Do you remember us talking about Tahj Ra-El?
Vaguely.
He is the player that got in trouble for possibly giving the playbook to the other team last season, the Memphis transfer that Purdue had to
Oh,
like release a statement on and everything.
oh,
So,
yes.
I mean, he's obviously been cleared. He's played every game so far this season, so it's not like there's still controversy in that. But it's just funny to me that that whole thing happened. We didn't really hear about it, and now I'm talking about him again. Not in relation to that, but just overall. Excuse me, he has been their best run stopper in the secondary, and Purdue is actually a pretty underrated run defense this season. I mean, I'm
Mhm.
not going to say that they're anything spectacular, but if you look at the yards per game numbers, it's not good. They've let up over 100 yards per game in six of their 8 games so far this season. But what they have done the past 3 games is they have not allowed, past 4 games, I apologize, they have not allowed over 5 yards per carry the past 4 games against Illinois, Minnesota, Northwestern, and Rutgers. All teams that run the ball pretty
Hmm.
well. Rutgers was the one that had the highest at 4.64. The other three did not have an average of over 4 yards per carry. So while they are gaining a lot of yards on this Purdue team by running a lot, they're not exactly being super consistent with picking up yards down the field because they are having to run the ball a lot against this Purdue team, which does go into play if you are blowing them out, like Illinois kind of was. Minnesota was not blowing them out, and Northwestern had them shut out, but it wasn't a blowout. They pulled ahead there, and it was 19-0. And then obviously Rutgers in that game was close until the end, like we just talked about there. So Purdue is top 5 in the Big Ten in rushing plays allowed of 30 plus yards, which is significant, I think, with this Michigan offense and how much they rely on big plays in the rushing game. And Justice Haynes and Jordan Marshall last game combined for 262 yards and 3 touchdowns against Michigan State. Michigan is the second best offense in long rushing plays, as they are second in rushing plays of 30 plus yards down the field. So Michigan does in fact have a bit of a, opponent here, at least in this matchup. I wouldn't say it's an opponent all across the board, but at least in this one, it's something to look at. And if this Michigan team does come out and run the ball very well, I think they deserve good credit for that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I think again, we joked off season that Purdue, they don't have specimens. They are better. And it's a reminder that the bottom of the Big Ten is better than people give it credit for, right? Like they're still not good, but Purdue of last year is not Purdue of this year. And
Totally agree.
I
Yeah.
think we need to recognize that. Like similar, like I think we've probably unfairly made fun of Wisconsin for, well, not made fun of. I think we've lambasted Luke Fickell for how poor Wisconsin is. But like Wisconsin still has pieces on that team and units on that team where you're like, they're not, it's not terrible, right? Like the whole program is in a dumpster right now, but like it's not like it's not like Purdue a year ago. And I think we just have to keep reminding ourselves of that Purdue has improved, but they have a long way to go. But that doesn't mean that Purdue can't come out and shock anybody. Like I think we said in the beginning of the season, it wouldn't surprise us if Purdue shocked somebody. I'm not picking that today.
No, I'm not picking it either.
I think Michigan is rounding into form. I actually wonder if this is a big day for Bryce Underwood as a passer to like really work on the pass game against that defense. Andrew Marsh gets involved, Samaj Morgan, tight end, get the tight ends involved. And I just don't think Purdue is going to be able to score what they need to keep this close. I do have Purdue covering barely, but I have 31-13.
All right. I have Michigan winning this game 27-10. I've not seen Michigan come out and just completely blow out a team. Even that game against Washington when they blew them out, they let teams kind of stick around there at the beginning of the game, and then obviously their run game takes over toward the end when the other team is tired and they've kind of beat them down. So I can definitely see that happening again, but I would not be surprised if this is a game where it's 10-7 at halftime or something. I think Michigan is probably going to get up ahead further than that because they're going to be more motivated. They're at home. They're a team that's working hard right now, and as we know, Sharon Moore gets his guys ready by the end of the year. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if it's maybe 14-0, 17-0 at halftime. But we also need to recognize that sometimes Michigan gets out to slow starts and they pull ahead at the end of the game, and that works out. It's the same score as if you pull ahead at the beginning of the game, but it's definitely something that we need to keep track of. Rafe is in near agreement with me, says 27-14 Michigan. Philip says 28-10. Philip again. Yeah, people are about on board with us.